Good morning, everyone. Welcome to my suburban micro homestead. I'm Christina, and this place is a hot mess, but here you see, we just got started this year, so I'll give you a quick tour. So this used to be a Bradford pear, and the Bradford pear was about 30 some odd years old and was breaking branches and not good for the environment, so we got it cut down and got the wood chipped and got some logs out of it. So I was able to make this bed, which I just kind of moved around. So this has some spiderwort, some daylilies, some penstemon, and I planted some alliums and daffodils in here for the spring, and it's basically just a hodgepodge bed, just throwing anything in here that will maybe look nice when the springtime comes. So that's a mixture of native soil, using the logs around the edges. I was going to do a hugel, but then I decided not to, just because I didn't have time to dig and to do all the stuff that goes along with the hugel, and I was starting to run out of wood for the middle. So the middle is soil and compost and wood chips, and a layer of cardboard on the bottom to squash all of the suckers and shoots from the Bradford pear, which is still struggling to survive. Here's my chip drop. It's gone down a lot, but I've used up a lot, so even if I don't get around to moving all the chips, at least I'll have some compost for the spring, much to my neighbor's dismay. This is a fringe tree. This poor guy has gone through some stress this year. I wasn't always able to keep it watered, but I'm hoping that this year, with working on the irrigation system in the springtime and making sure that I can access, that all the areas of the property can access water, will improve its health. So it's still alive, but definitely was not thriving. So that's just hanging out until I move the wood chips. Haven't quite decided what to do with this area, but the main idea is to get rid of the lawn. Some holly bushes that are really in the way, so I think I'm taking down this front one, and then I'll leave the back one for now. Some lilies. Here's my hedgerow. So the hedgerow has been an exciting project. It's a little bit inside from my neighbor's property line so that I can access both sides. This is some wood that I salvaged from, got off Facebook Marketplace for free. Got some lamb's ears from my friend Jennifer. And this is a beautyberry which outgrew its pot, so I still have to cut the pot away and perhaps do some mounding around those roots, but that thing has been thriving in a contractor's bin, so it should have some nice room to grow. And then here I have some either raspberry or blackberry. One thing you'll know is I never label anything. My gardening life is an adventure. I like to ID things when they come up, so here's another, I think this is a blackberry, probably thornless Apache. Witch hazel also did not do so hot right now. I don't know if this is the right spot for it. It might get too much sun, but the house is shading it, so we'll see. I got some garlic planted in here, and some more raspberries, Chickasaw plum, raspberry, this is a Annie's Gold raspberry, elderberry, let's see, Dorman red, raspberry. This is my my mystery bush. Not entirely sure what this is, so we'll see what happens in the springtime. And gold. It's a mayhaw, so this is nice and thorny, so I kind of stuck it here so that eventually when everything grows in, that'll form like a thorny barrier on one side, and I'll put a gate in eventually on this side. And then moving along, we have some blueberry bushes. These were end of the season sale, but they were surviving, so I took them for $1. I got some rhubarb crowns in here that overwintered from last year, so I'm hoping now that they're not in the container and they're in the ground in some nice compost, well draining, that they'll do better. Asparagus, who knows what else I planted in here. And then here, I'll give you a view coming back. This is the side of the house. So we have some stuff going on here too. This is the herb garden. This was one of the first gardens I put in. Oregano did not do so hot, but I'm hoping because it's oregano that it'll come back better than ever. Anise, sage, parsley, yarrow's doing well in this cold winter. It's December right now. Let's see. Those are red scallions, like little baby onions. Lime balm from my friend Karen, which is some amazing stuff. It's got these really soft, fuzzy leaves. It's a little crispy because it's the end of the season, but still looking pretty good. Can still use it to do some herbal preparations and make some liqueurs and garnish cocktails for the holidays. So excited about that. These are some kale that I had kind of laying around, so I just threw them in here. Let's see, some empty pots. These were supposed to have strawberries, but they didn't work out so well, so not so much. Feverfew, thank you, Karen. Some daylilies, hollyhocks, garbage truck. This is the lemon balm, again, still kicking, so looking a little raggy, but this should stay green for most of the winter here in North Carolina. This is zone 8A. Here is the other hollyhock, which did so much better. This is one hollyhock, and this is another hollyhock. Same seed session. Clearly, the growing conditions were slightly different for each of them. Comfrey, you know, Permaculture's best friend. These were my awesome Maximilian sunflowers from Eura. Appreciate that. Some end of season muscadines that I have to get in the ground. Still trying to figure out a trellis situation for them. And we'll come around. Just got another little compost, which is exciting. So we hit a deer this weekend, so I got to rent a pickup truck. And sadly, the deer probably didn't make it, but we weren't hurt, and I got a pickup truck for the week. This is the hot mess mound of unkept madness. But I just kind of threw some end of the year chrysanthemums in here for some interest, since my neighbors probably hate me. Some violets, Johnny Jump Ups, pansies, and then I went ahead and planted some daffodils in here also, and probably other random bulbs. And then this is a native that I got from a plant swap, and I can never remember, oops, fell in a hole, the name. And native ageratum. So cool. That's probably gonna go in the other bed with the other natives for now, so I can get this thing up and running. And some cabbages, which look pretty. That needs to be mulched. This needs to be mown down. But I just was watching videos about thermophilic composting, so I think that this beautiful hay in here is going to perform some miracles to make some good, build some good soil. Here's my rugosa rose. Hoping to get some good hips off of her in the future. She should get pretty big and spready and got gorgeous pink flowers. Also native. This is my poor path. The idea is eventually to do some, I'll give you a closer look. The idea is eventually to do some concrete pavers in there to make it look, to give it some more structure, to make it more with that suburban aesthetic. But then I have my pillars here, my log pillars, which I'm sure everybody hates, but it's okay. It's all gonna come together. I need to dig out these beds and kind of make them more of a garden. The native, well, not native, but the pre-existing lawn weeds and grasses and stuff really took over this area this summer, so gonna have to really do some digging as per Kim. Here is a shagbark hickory, which I got from the tree store, which is an amazing resource in Charlotte where they give out free trees to help add to the canopy, which is daily being taken away by developers. So hopefully, this is a slow grower, but because we took the 2 Bradford pears out, I wanted to add some sort of tree back in. So hopefully this will be a good location for it. There's a crepe myrtle over here, but again, this is going to be a slow grower, so we'll see how it goes. Little baby spruce tree, which I got in clearance. This has been kicking for about 2 years, so pretty happy with it. And this has looked much happier here than it did in my last apartment, so there's that. This is a mountain mint, this little baby here. The seed heads are so interesting. They look like almost like feathers or like insects. They look really weird, but I'm hoping that this will be like a big 6-foot bushy bee magnet. Some ratty azaleas and some boxwood that we had, and this is just some cardboard with mulch on top, trying to squash those weeds and grasses. This is the bin of despair. The hostas and the Lenten roses and things I had in here, hellebores, did not do so hot. Too much sun up front, even though it's north facing. The overhead sun in the summer didn't kill everything, but did not make everyone happy. So we're gonna move these to the side, which I'll show you in a minute. Coming around here, some more hollies. Definitely gonna take this front one out. I kind of like the weird shape of this one. Needs to be trimmed back, but it gets to be like a cool spiral if you actually trim it, so it adds some structure to the front garden. I don't know, we'll see. And then this is my access. You know, one of the first things you think about in permaculture when you're doing a project is access, and it took me a while to kind of come to grips with this one, but if I want to get mulch and stuff in the back, I really need to get a truck back there. So this is where little impromptu driveway. This is my first rain barrel. I'm hoping to swap it out for an IBC tote or a system of IBC totes eventually, but this has done well so far. You know, just doing like a watering can thing. I haven't really been able to get too much water out of it through a hose. And then here's some little bed here on the side. This is where the garbage cans go, so there's nothing here. This is going to be the hosta bed and kind of a ornamental. We might stick some shade-loving stuff in here, but the bed I have, or the bin I had with the hostas and eucharas and stuff like that has been doing really well. So I think what I'm going to do is just capitalize on that and stick them in the ground, because we can't be all business all the time. Sometimes we do want to keep some ornamental things around. So there's that. These are some straw bales that I got at the end of the year from school, so I'm going to utilize those and some compost. This is my rhubarb container. I had 2 crowns growing in here. They did okay in the shady side. Rhubarb doesn't normally grow in North Carolina. It's too hot, at least not in the Piedmont. So looking at ways that we can kind of get that to be successful. So I'm going to try a rhubarb experiment this year, and I'll keep you guys updated. Here's my lackluster herb spiral. First year, just got it built. Got some lovely weeds in there. I do have a rosemary that didn't do so hot in the summer. This is actually like a hugel spiral. There's some wood under here buried with some compost. Probably needs more soil. But the rosemary, and I have some St. John's wort, they have been doing okay. So my plan is to move the herbs or divide the herbs that are growing on the other side of the house to here, and then use that for more food growing stuff. Since our kitchen is right here, I figured it would be nice to have the herb spiral closer to the house than having to go all the way around to the other side. And then this bed over here, composter I got off Craigslist. This is another bed, gonna be mixed ornamentals and food, so we'll see how that goes. But for the most part, I got some. This is the only rose bush that came with the house, and it's doing really well now that it's not being mowed every 6 weeks or 2 weeks or whatever it was. So that's going to be good. And I have some tulips and some daffodils planted in here so that when they come up, it'll look kind of, give it some structure in the spring, and then I'll start planting out whatever perennials and stuff that I'm going to start growing. Another bed needs some mulch, but this is kind of the dueling mint bed. So I don't know what kind of mint this is. Grapefruit mint maybe, but it's really nice. Again, it's going to stay green for much of the winter. This is pineapple sage died back, and the lemon verbena has started to die back, but it's still kind of holding on. And the horehound does really good in the winter. So horehound I'm looking forward to keeping, unless it's a really, really deep frost, but freeze. But horehound usually does pretty good. So gonna mulch up this bed when I get a chance. Got some more daffodils and tulips and stuff in here. This really needs some mulch because the weeds are starting to come in. Some mint, looks like it might be penstemon. We'll see. But again, just a hodgepodge of stuff. Here's the random crap area. So in the springtime, I had a nice table out here, and then we started moving all the stuff, and it hasn't quite found its place yet. We don't have a shed back here, so it doesn't make it easy to figure out where to put all the stuff because there's only finite room in the garage, and then also you don't want to go in the garage every time you need something because the garage is on the opposite side. So trying to figure out a system that I can have all my stuff out here handy, but not looking like a trash area. Some pomegranate trees that need to get planted before everything freezes. I call this the Boulevard of Broken Dreams. Some stuff that A, didn't make it, or B, is looking rough, or C, I can't identify, so random stuff here. Although I do have some wood sorrel that I forgot that I had to plant, so I'm gonna move this over here so that I can remember, because every time I don't see it, I don't remember to plant it. So sorrel's gonna be nice in the winter. This should stay green all year round. High in oxalic acid, so it adds that nice sour component to salads. Little barbecue area. Again, moving the table back. This was my one container of tomatoes from last year, so there's a whole story that goes with that, but I'm actually gonna have space for actually rows of tomatoes or whatever I want, so we'll see what happens next year if I can get my beds installed. Next up is this little guild that I started. Still missing some components. I need some leguminous material in here, but I have some Egyptian walking onions. Thank you, Karen. I did have some squash in here, which I do need to move out so it doesn't overwinter some bad stuff, but probably won't grow squash there because the squash didn't do too well in here. It did okay for a while, and then it got something. Not Bradford pear, pineapple pear trees, so nice edible pears. Gonna work on getting those limbs kind of stretched out and promoting growth from the bottom so I don't have such a tall tree, and keep it pruned for a while. One of the things I've learned since starting all this is I can probably support more trees than I anticipated on this property. I thought I could have like 2 or 3 trees, but the more I'm watching permaculture videos and thinking about it, I probably can get some more trees in here and keep them trimmed. I think it'll just be more intensive management because the property is only 0.2 acres. So little postage stamp. Here's my little baby elderberry. Got some garlic planted in here, along with some, I don't even know, those are lilies or spiderwort, who knows. Let's see. A lot of debris around the property. Again, it's been a rough year. We just moved in August, but I've been working on the property since we closed on the house at the end of March, trying to get things ready. But this year should be a killer year since we're actually living here. This is a volunteer mulberry, which I'm gonna promote growth from, since the original mulberry tree that it probably came from is on the fence line, and the neighbor's been giving me some issues with it. But this is a honeysuckle and mulberry tree mess, and this is some debris we need to work on getting rid of. This is a crabapple tree, I guess. I did a lot of work on it in the spring, but I think, now that it's winter, before the buds pop out. I'm going to do a lot more work on it to get it smaller, and I'm going to do some experimenting with grafting, since this is an ornamental crabapple, but somebody had a really good idea of using it for grafts, and I already have the rootstock, so I might as well start getting some edible varieties on it, and then I can have it'll become like the cider tree. So all the cider apples that I want to make cider with is gonna come from here. Debris from the Bradford pear, from the mulberry. This all is gonna be turned into like wood chip city, and gonna be home to a pond, a tiny pond, and let's see what else, and just, plants galore. Here's my municipal compost that I got yesterday. I've had the flu for like a couple days, so probably not the best idea to be shoveling compost with the flu, but okay, it had to get done. And then this is a tree, I don't know what it is, so if anyone has any ideas, I'd be happy to hear about them. But yeah, not sure. I'm really bad at tree identification. It's one of the areas I'd like to get some work on. And I think while this tree is still standing, what I'm going to do is turn this area here into wood chip city, and since it has some nice shade, I've ordered crimson or wine cap mushrooms, King Stropharia. So I think this is going to be the King Stropharia breeding ground. There's my pond liners that need to get installed. And then again, this will be the continuation of the hedgerow. This is a nice maple tree. Here's a crepe myrtle, which is so popular, but I'll just leave it. It's kind of going to become part of the hedgerow eventually. It might be nice to try to train some like goji berries or something on it. We'll see. Use it as a natural trellis. But yeah, this is my husband's fire pit. He's so proud of it. So this random fire pit. So still a lot of work to do back here to make it look presentable. Again, I work full time as a teacher and don't have a lot of time to devote to gardening tasks at the end of the day. I don't get home till like 5:30, and especially in the winter, there's no light left. So just little snippets of time as I can manage with some health issues that I have. But it's all getting done, and I'm really proud of what we've done so far. So anyway, signing off. Thanks for watching if you watched this far, and hopefully I'll be back with some more projects like thermophilic compost. Bye.